Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome back to Star Citizen for the Invictus Launch Week. Yes, that's right. And today we are going to be going to the event grounds in the Beppin Event Center. More to the point, we are here 5 years running. Yes, this is the 5th anniversary of me covering this event, and as you can see by where I'm standing exactly where I was 5 years ago, almost to the day when I was able to get in and see this event for the first time, as it was brand new in 2020. So, what is Invictus Launch Week? Well, a brief synopsis of the event is that, for lore reasons, Invictus Launch Week is a event where new recruits and members of the UEE Training Academy are inducted, or new recruits are inducted to the UEE to be sent off to the training centers, and the inductees are just about ready to finish their training and be launched out into the verse. The original story behind it was that during the First Tavaran War, a ship basically took a number of recruits because of how bad the war was going for the UEE at the UPE at the time. It basically they took them to the Invictus base on Mars, and then following the conclusion of the war, the base closed down. But then the new Imperator Ivo Messer in 2581, as it says over here, basically formalized the event as a sort of government/propaganda tool to incentivize faith in the UEE's navies, which is really, really good. But unfortunately, like with all things, it's had a bit of a storied past, and some awkwardness has occurred. But in the essence of since the fall of the Medvedev regime, the new systems are now trying to make it more positive, more more happy based, and also more about protecting the freedoms of liberty and everyone. Yes. Oh my God! The first time I've seen some civilians standing on a chair. I do appreciate this. Thank you, sir. But no, going into this particular thing for us players is that it's an opportunity to see some new military ships, get some time-limited ships, as well as being able to see the future development of Star Citizen. Word of warning, we are going to be having some issues with recording because my recording software or my computer or both for some reason crashes out the recorder, and I end up having to make some cuts and everything else like that. So if all of a sudden I stop talking or there's a weird editing, it's because my recording software has broken down. So word of warning in that realm. Anyway, so as we make our way across, we'll may see you on the inside. And we're back. So thankfully, no crashes thus far, though touch wood. Here we go. So we are now in the main hall area, the main convention hall, and apart from seeing a very fancy pants hologram of the new Idris P, which has recently just been released, flooding the market with more and more Idris Ps, of course, we come to a very different Invictus Launch Week, one that I am in two minds of, because I can see the benefits of it, but I also am a little bit sad to see... No, this doesn't feel right. I need to be on the left-hand side. I've been doing this for so many years now, I have to go up the left-hand side stairs. It's just what I do. I know it sounds weird, but I'm just... Anyway, so the Invictus Launch Week previously worked similar to IAE, where you basically, every day, new lines of ships would come along, and, well, the different manufacturers for each day would come along. So, for example, we would have Greycat and Aegis Industrial, Aegis Dynamics, Greycat Industrial for one set of days, and then Origin Jumpworks, RSI, Argo, then Consolidated Outland, Misk, Mirai, Crusader, Tumbril, Anvil, and then eventually Drake Interplanetary. Normally, you don't have a thing going, but now you do. Sorry, you think... No, you normally have a different thing going, but now you don't. Anyway, so basically, each day, you get to go to the panels along to here, the rental panels along here, and you then get to set up all the ships of the particular brand that you want to go into. And then obviously as the event goes through, you come back over to here, you select the ships that you want to rent, and then you get to enjoy those particular ships for them. So it gives you incentive to come to the event while not having to run around individually selecting the ships, which I can agree that can be quite the good thing. Oh dear God, the pink. Anyway, so I can see the benefit of it, and I can see what uniqueness. Like I can see where this particular thing comes from. I can see the benefit of that. I am a little bit disappointed, though, because I do like running around talking about the different ships, because it was my tradition. It's something that I've been doing for quite some time. Now, we still get to do that because, well, today we're going to be going around all of these particular ships, looking at all the different elements, but it would appear to be that from the beginning of the event all the way till the end, it's not going to change. So we've got 4 different halls to examine. The first hall being the fighters, the second being logistics, the third hall being gunships, and then the fourth being ground vics, with the center obviously being all of the new things. So we're going through all of that, and I think I see something in the distance. But yes, so there's a lot of things we're going to be talking about today. So today's episode is going to be our usual affair, but this may be the only episode that we have, and I guess it's kind of dawning on me how things are changing. Not always for the better, as this particular event has already demonstrated to many certain degrees. But still, without further ado, let's get cracking with today. Let's finally now have a look at the new things and have a little bit of a wander around. So I'm going to leave the Star Lance attack to the last, because it's something that I feel like we already know the hype around this particular vehicle, and a lot of people have already said it is absolutely ridiculous in terms of hype. So what I'm going to start with is actually, I'm going to go with the Guardian MX to start with. So the Guardian MX, coming from Mirai, is a new variant of the MX Heavy Fighter system. This thing is more or less the same thing as the MX from before, but what makes this thing special is a heavy fighter variant of the Gardens with a border array of offensive weapons, making it well suited. So guns, missile, armor, agility, storage, components. So this edition seems to be more of an aggressive kind of fighter, which I thought the Guardian was already an aggressive fighter. But it would appear that the aggressive fighterness wasn't quite aggressive enough. So you can get into this ship in one of 2 ways. The front canopy as such, and if we sneak our way behind here, we get to access this wondrous ship from the back here. So I'm actually going to get inside. Truth be told, this is my first time actually getting into a Mirai Guardian ever in Star Citizen, which will be a nice little blind reaction. Hello. Piggybacking off this thing. Fracking tourists. Alright, we've got some new people. So. Oh, okay. I'm going to get off this thing before someone falls off. So, the Mirai Guardian is a very cramped. Well, I say very cramped. It's a very tight-knit ship. Like, you've got all the components access inside this particular room. And you have all the abilities to. You have your own suit in here. You have weapons rack. You've got, as I said, components access, and if we go into here, we've got additional components and additional things from this. Okay, this is pretty cool. This is pretty nice. Very neat. Very neat is what I'd say. And then, oh, okay, that's very interesting. So, to my knowledge, normally there's meant to be a living accommodation in here, or at least the normal edition would have it, but this particular edition would be a dedicated heavy fighter platform. So I would imagine some of the components that would be inside this particular thing, or I would imagine some of the lesser items or anything would in fact be a... Let's just get down for this one. So yeah, it would appear to be, we have, there we go, all the fancy pants toy stuff. So the Guardian MX would appear to be the heavy fighter variant, and as you can see, very much like the Xi'an design template with their rather open environmental cockpits and everything else. Unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to get into the ship for this one, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan. Well, okay. I like the concept of the Guardian. It looks like a TIE Advanced. I'm not going to lie. It's a TIE fighter. We all know this. the X-Wing came out, so we now have to have the bad guys ship, and the TIE Fighter definitely looks pretty solid. This one is an actual 100% dedicated TIE Fighter. And to be fair, that was kind of what I was expecting when I first saw the Guardian come into the verse. So this one is the dedicated fighter variant of the MX series. So definitely a pretty solid choice if you want to have a fight for it. Doesn't say how much it costs, but I would assume very much well into the 100 and... Well, no, we're possibly looking into near the 175-200 region for that one. I don't currently know how much this costs at this moment in time. It's currently on listed as on Star Citizen Tools as limited sales, or time limited sales, so we're not entirely sure when or how much this particular thing is going to cost you. But as you can see, you can get in from the front, and you can open the canopy, and it has a very dusty, dirty canopy, but I would think it was more because this is the showroom edition, which, by the way, just as a note, for anyone who's not watched these series before, or not been to an Invictus Launch Week or of IAE, the ships that are on display are in a particularly special kind of case, so they won't be working as they should be, and they won't be something that you can... Yeah, it's very much they're not as they should be, so, you know, go easy on them sort of thing. Anyway, so we now go from a ship that, I'll be honest with you, to be honest, yeah, no, I'm not like a huge Guardian fan. I like it. I think it's a pretty decent ship. It's very good as a solo ship, but it's not something that really pulls me, though we'll be talking about you very soon. But no, one ship slash vehicle I actually kind of really want to get. I'm not going to lie. This ship is very impressive. This is the Greycat MTC. I'm going to keep calling it the MTX. It's not the MTX, it's the MTC. So the MTC is a new ground vehicle with the capacity to carry up to 4 SCUs worth of cargo, which I believe you can get on the side. But this thing is actually quite big, to say the least. You can get lift open, so there's some like cargo things. And you can put multiple boxes into this thing. Yeah, you can see. Okay. So yeah, you can basically store, what, 4 SCUs worth of cargo in this thing? Well, okay, it says 0.5 SCU cargo, but it's got cargo. Okay, so it can carry up to 4 0.125 SCU cargo boxes. So we probably could carry some of those small things if you want to carry like some ammunition, supplies, equipment, that sort of stuff. So if you're doing any kind of long-range reconnaissance ops, I also think this is a different skin color to that one, unless it's just the lighting. I think it's just the lighting. But yes, this is a dedicated combat SUV. It's got 2 size 2 bearing las repeaters, but obviously you can adjust and accommodate. These things look the fucking part. I am not going to lie. This thing looks absolutely menacing, and I do like it. It looks like a really good Vic. So let's have a little look inside for the first time. Okay, I like this. We've got one driver. Yeah, so one driver and one passenger, it would appear to be. I mean, technically speaking, you could have a couple people sitting in here. So you got one person that, well, technically speaking, you could have like, what, 3 or 4 people? Because we could have one person taking a seat here. Oh, this will be the remote control turret as well. That's pretty good. Or the driver. Actually, let me just hop into the driver's seat for this thing. This could be a vehicle you could solo in. Very soloable. I'm feeling the solo ability of this thing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm feeling the soloness of this thing. So, okay, enable shields, lights off. Deploy. What is deploy? Oh, yeah. Gun turrets. Hi. Right, so this thing has a 270-degree traverse on the turrets. Dude, that's ridiculous. This thing's got a nice set of turrets. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum. Sorry, for some reason Helldivers just kind of came out of my head. But yeah, no, this thing looks pretty good. And in terms of visuals from the cockpit, I like it. I've got lots to be impressed by. I'm going to assume... I mean, obviously, this isn't the open exterior, close exterior, yeah, lights. The lights turned off. Oh, someone's turning off that. Someone's turning on and off the power, of course. So, okay, so the driver does get access to use the turrets and everything else, but it might be something that, like, either... Again, we don't know if it's going to be a thing or not for that, but I'm not going to lie. I'd say that's pretty cool. And oh, there we go. Yep, we've got the driver. We've got the gunner in there as well. So what's this do? What's that? Ah, that must be all the components. So I'd say that's pretty good. No, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is a very good vehicle. Like, I like it. As ground Vics go, I like this vehicle. I think it's got a lot of potential to be extremely efficient and extremely effective in the field. A duo for sure, solo for definites. Like, I'll be honest with you, one could argue. No, it's definitely a duo. 100% needs to be a duo. That must be its fuel that must be its fuel. Yeah, that's got to be where you put you plug in the fuel pump. Right. Yeah, that's what you do when you put the fuel pump in, definitely. I mean, okay, so when I say a duo for sure, definitely a solo, what I mean is I can very easily imagine someone utilizing this primarily as a solo vehicle. You've got 4 boxes of 0.125 SCUs worth of cargo. You've got 2 size 2 guns. You've got access to multiple weapon racks, so it gives you one for every kind of occasion you have. Oh, there's the fuel cap. What is... There's instructions on here. Quakecat Industrial. Huh. Pattern number... Made on Mars. The Mechanicus. The Mechanicus. Oh, God. But no, so, yeah, like, you've got multiple weapon racks along this position. You have different kind of suits available to you. You've got what I would have to be a large weapon rack, so your rail guns, your missile launchers, and then you've got your infantry weapons, your pistols, your remote turret seats if you're wanting to take into a position. You could actually use it as observational cores. Like, you can very much solo this thing should you need to. This thing also has shield generators as well, so you can have a bit more survivability. But no, I like this vehicle. I like this vehicle a lot. I like to go in blind with some of these things, and I'm not going to lie, I'm glad I waited for this opportunity. Because, yeah, this thing, it's cool. It's really cool. I'm probably going to buy one. Fuck, this is another thing they got out of me. So, we now approach the Starlance attack, and... Well, obviously we're going to talk about the TAC. Obviously. We will get to you, my darling. We will get to you, Asgard, don't you worry. But this is going to have to be the big one. This particular ship is center stage for Invictus. And there's a big old thing, which I'm walking all over because it's very difficult to read otherwise. But no, so here it is. This is the oath that someone's walking all over. This is the oath that every cadet who enters into the UEE makes. This is a pledge to do it. So it says here, "Herein witness that I do solemnly pledge, mind and body, that I will serve and protect the United Empire of Earth against all who would seek to threaten harm it and its people. That I will faithfully discharge the duties that asked of me, and when called upon, I will defend the Empire with my life. That I will be the sword and the shield. That I will not falter nor fail, but fight and win. That I swear to do all in my power to act as a guardian of freedom and justice, as a champion of honor and valor, and as a true and proud member of the UEE Navy." So you be pledging that, and you be joining the UEE Navy for Super Earth. No. Anyway, sorry, I've been over at a friend's recently, and we talked a lot about Helldivers, so my brain just keeps going back to that. But no, this is the Starlancer TAC, the second variant of the Starlancer series to come out. The very popular one, or probably the version that many people were getting hyped over at CitizenCon last year, and you can see just about why. Holy shit. So this thing is a massive, has, like, in comparison to its original friend, the original variant, which is the Starlancer Max, which in my opinion I really didn't like. Of all the ships that I saw at Invictus CitizenCon, I was disappointed in the Star Lancer series. I was not impressed with the Star Lancer Max. The design of it, it's definitely not as good as it could be. So this, however, this variant, I will very much nod and say, you know what, this does actually seem like a good version. One, I will say that. And you've got missile launchers on the back, because of course you do. So, let us have a look in the stats of this thing. So this particular vessel has... what's the stats on this thing? So it can carry up to 96 SCUs worth of cargo, and as we're entering into the back or the rear of the ship, this is incredibly loud, which I'm going to have to make adjustments to. But, let's see. You can get inside. Yeah, it's definitely... Okay, so there's the buttons for this, and you've got what looks to be... Yeah, this is the cargo section alongside the ground... Yeah, so this is basically the hangar bay, whereupon you can drive your vehicle into it. You've got the lift in the back, similar to what we have with the Star Lancer Max. I'm going to be saying that a lot, by the way. And immediately, we go into MISC's first ever medical systems, which... Okay, you know what? Credit where credit's due. I mean, okay, technically that looks like Mirai, but still. Credit where credit's due. MISC/Mirai, they know how to do medical places. This is, I will agree, this is probably the best looking medical system in a ship I have seen in a very long time. It feels just modern enough. Like, it feels just... It's weird. Normally you get the vibe with MISC that they're very fancy pants, they're very advanced technology. Ooh, little open door there, so if you want to store your little medical doors and stuff like that. Looks very cool. But the vibe I'm getting here is kind of Aliens-esque. And what I mean by that is that it feels like the kind of shit that we would have today back then. So everyone who would be coming over to this thing would be like, oh my god, look how old this shit is. And we'd be like, oh my god, look at how advanced this shit is. But yeah, so you have two medical beds. Doesn't say on the tools what... yeah, medbay. Two tier 3 medical beds. So they've got two tier 3 medical beds involved in this one, which is actually pretty impressive, to say the least. We've got O2, which is pretty awesome. We have a sink. That's very important. We need to wash our hands. Remember, social distance. So we then proceed from the medical bay into what is very fucking nice looking chairs. Oh my god, the upholstery. Yeah. So these are the chairs that you would basically be dropping into a combat zone for. So you've got 4 on each side. There's like a squad's worth of things. You also have a Mantis size 1 gun on each side, providing necessary cover fire. So theoretically speaking, you could have 10 guys in total. We've got a hatch which you press, and they actually... Okay, that's pretty cool. So you get to do that. So yeah, we've got maybe like 10 guys in total, 8 on the seats, 2 on the guns, as they allow you to go into that thing, so you can actually sort of see yourself going into the combat zone, and then you're using the guns as well. So there you go. Once you open that up, it's pretty good. And of course, oh my god. So yes, you can definitely see the kinds of powers and everything else that goes into it. Now, I imagine this would be more designed for weapons and guns rather than las repeaters. But yes, you have access to the 2 size 5 Galdron las repeaters. In this particular case, I would imagine the las repeaters could be, in fact, exchanged for something else. I would probably imagine the las repeaters would probably be the ultimate for that one. But yeah, no, this is a pretty impressive room. I do like this, the aesthetic and everything. And then as we make our way towards the center, we go to the front bow section of the ship. We have the elevators, the air dock. Okay, let's see if we open this one up. Oh, okay, so we actually... Okay, that's cool. Right, so we're going to open that up again. So then, do we want to open up or not? Okay, so I would imagine that this would also open up when you're docking, but yeah. So we have a docking pod. That's actually a pretty decent way to lock in. We have a ladder that heads upstairs, which is pretty good. So let's have a look, see what this is. Ah, the escape pods. So shit hits the fan, we know where to go, and that's fine. I'm going to use the ladder for this one, just so we don't have to fanny arse around waiting for a lift. That might not work. So there's the second floor of, or the second deck 2 of deck 2, just second floor. So we got the second floor of the thing. We got more escape pods in the top, and then we have the bridge. So we've got access to remote turrets, which, yep. Nerve hanger as well. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. So we've got remote turrets on the side, which is pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie. There's actually quite a lot of, yeah, like credit where credit's due. This vessel is impressive. As a patrol craft goes, it's very impressive. So we got a bunch of components, little computer sections on the side, before we finally come to the biggest problem with all MISC ships: the fucking cockpits. Now, for those who don't know, my biggest beef with MISC ships is the cockpits, and you can see, if you can already see what I mean, but if you can't, this fucking mile-long dashboard. Like, I am forever saying the phrase, you need a pair of binoculars to see out the front of this thing. Admittedly, this version allows you to not need binoculars to look to the left, but at the front, oh, yeah, no, you need a pair of binoculars. And if you want to look to your right, God help you, you're going to need a telescope to be able to see all the fucking way over there. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, no. It's very much not a fun part. And it's one of the strongest reasons as to why I don't like this ship. And sure, that feels probably more like a personal preference thing, but it is my personal preference, and I say that this cockpit is a terrible design. I despise it. Change it. And the reason why I say this thing is because Musashi Industrial Starlight and Concern has also made the fucking Prospector, who have made the best cockpit in the game, and they just mock us continuously by not making additional ships with that style cockpit. Just, oh, it pisses me off. Anyway, moving on to the next phase. So we now are going into, and I will seal you, Xeno lover. I have trapped you, Vanduul. You are now my prisoner. You are no more a threat. How does it feel, Vanduul? How does it feel? All right, I'll let you out. I'm not a dick. Hey, look, you're a Vanduul. You're wearing the helmet. You got to know what happens. I was doing my duties as a citizen of the United Earth Empire. I made the pledge. Anyway, so we get storage, gravity generator. Ooh, displays things. Ooh, it's very snazzy. Oh, I like the window. God, I'm so fucking autistic at times. Anyway, so living accommodation. Oh, okay, so we have. Oh. Okay, so to the outside world, that's actually pretty cool. I'm actually gonna let's take a photo of that. There we go. So yeah, apart from the fact that I can't see my head because, well, that kind of makes sense how it works. You can tell this is the first-person perspective camera versus the third-person perspective camera. Anyway, so we have a working mirror, and we also have a very nice shit shower. Actually, no, it's not a shit shower because there is the shit shower. Yep, right. Anyway, so let's go into the thing. So we've got weapon rack, and we have accommodation. A crew of 8, it would seem. So either you would have members of the crew who are just pilots and stuff, and then you'd have other members here. Oh, very nice. I mean, credit where... Oh, they have another one. Oh my god, 2 showers. Holy shit. So credit where credit's due. MISC know how to do interiors. They definitely know how to do interiors. They're humble about it, but they very much know how to do interiors. So I can't deny that. They've got this place nailed down to a T. They even have a decent shitter, toilet and bin, which is pretty cool on that one. I'm not going to lie. And yeah, this variant of the ship, I feel, is more appropriate with the size that this thing is. I mean, bearing in mind, this ship is designed as a patrol craft. It's not, like, its official role is meant to be a multi-crew support vessel, but really it's patrol craft as well. And, yes, there we go. This is it. So this is the hangar. Now, what the main thing is, you're supposed to pull that down. There we go, perfect. So you open this thing up, and as you can see, we have enough room for one. You can even see you got the lights as well. This is actually pretty cool. So you can see by the like the outline what ship you're really meant to be using in this one, which is of course the MX Fury. MX Fury. Why am I thinking MX Fury? No, the Fury. The Fury or the Fury missile variant, which is it's Fury MX. So yes, you either have that or it's dedicated combat. You could even have a racing variant if you're wanting to take this out on the fly. But no, this is the combat vessel, so you need to get the combat vessel ships and all that jazz. Yeah, you can only really fit one Fury with this particular ship. I personally would either choose to go with the... Actually, I would probably just go with the normal Fury. The missile edition would be nice, but I feel like that would be very much a burden on the ship. Oh, this is a very nice room. I like those. Ooh, very pretty. Oh, they've got very cool engines as well. Very nice. I'm very impressed. Yes, very much so. Okay. I like how everyone's gypsied these ships. Seriously. All of these things. All of the bloody fuses. But yes, more components to access as well. So, yeah, I would say that's a pretty cool investment onto that one. So there you go, the Star Lance attack. Okay, yeah, this particular ship I've walked through for the first time in a blind one, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the ship is definitely, yeah, this variant of the ship I prefer over the Max. The Max for definites is... Okay, so my reasoning behind it is that the Max is a dedicated cargo ship, but it can only take up to 220 SCUs worth of cargo. Now, sure, there's a lot of living capabilities to survive out in the verse in comparison to other ships, but I also feel like the ship definitely could... You could easily fit an additional 100 SCUs worth of cargo into a vessel of this size, and I just feel like this ship doesn't really suit the cargo hauling road. However, as a combat ship, different fucking story. This thing much better suited to the role of blowing shit up. And we're back. Unfortunately, yeah, editor software, there'll just be a point where we're just going to be like, and we're back, and you'll know what I mean. So, to summarize, as I was saying before about the Star Lancer Max, this is what I would say is the pinnacle of multi-crew gameplay. Like before, when you had the Redeemer being able to run around with your friends and have big firefights and shooty shoots and all that sort of jazz. Yeah, that thing was pretty impressive, and you were able to have the ability to really enjoy multi-crew gameplay. But you and like 4 other friends, you don't even have to have a full crew, but if you had like maybe 75% the crew, so you've got like what, 4 or 5 guys in total, you could, yeah, I would say this is like the pinnacle of multi-crew gameplay, because this is the kind of thing that like small groups of players could easily spend maybe not hundreds of hours, but a fairly large amount of hours just being able to enjoy like being able to do multiple missions, working together, gathering loot, doing bounties, all sorts of things. Very, very impressive. So overall, yeah, no, I will say this version of the Star Lancer is, yeah, this is the better of the 3 builds. Now remember, we have 3 variants of this ship. We've seen the Max, we've now got the TAC, we now need the build, and the build is coming. Obviously, we're gonna have to wait until the actual base building becomes a thing. But until then, until then, we just have to wait and see. But moving on to the next ship. This is, of course, the very fancy pants version of ship known as the Super Hornet. Now, for those who don't know, the Hornet series of ships made by Anvil is famous for having its both military variants and its non-military variants. The military variants of the ship, the F-7A, well, the F7A Mark II is obviously out there already. I have one. It is never changing in my hanger list, and I probably will have that package until the day I die, which I fucking earned. Thank you very much, Overdrive event. Anyway, one of the things that is the sort of core features of the Hornet series is the Super Hornet variant, which is the pinnacle of the civilian side of the ship. And as you can see, it's famous for two reasons. First of all, it's the most up-tiered, up-gunned version of the Hornet, but it also has a co-pilot that allows the pilot to focus primarily on flying while allowing a compadre to fire maybe some of the missiles, or most likely to fire the turrets on the back as well, which is a really cool thing. This is, to be fair, probably a good idea for a trainer ship as well. So if you're a fan of such things as teaching a player how to do dogfights or whatever, if you want to do something like that, then now you have the ability to do so, which is pretty impressive. So this particular ship comes with a whole host of different weapons. You've got two size 4 Revenant Gatlings on the wings. You've got two size 2 Panther repeaters. No, that's the Hornet on the... No, yeah, so the two guns at the front, size 3 Panther repeaters on the ball turret. Oh, so yeah, you got Panther repeaters, both size 3 Panther repeaters on the top and on the bottom ball turrets. Very nice, very nice. Much better. Like, again, this is so much better than the Mark 1. So much better. So much better. I'm very much happy about this. So yes, this is the Mark II in all of its glory, and I do like this edition. It's very, very nice. I do want the twin-engined version, though, of the one that we saw for Squadron 42. I'm just saying that is the sexiest version of the ship. One day, I'm sure. Anyway, so let's have a quick hop into this thing. So, little skedaddle battle. So, as you can see, the cockpit is filled to the brim with very useful items, and we've got a little bit more visual. And you have the access to the remote turret now, which, as you can see, size 2. Is it 2 Revenant, or is it 2... No, it's Panthers. But yeah, so the pilot basically gets access to these things, and it also has... Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't even notice. So, yes, you have, in addition to the 2 size 3s, you also have 8 size 1 missiles. You also get access to some size 4 missiles. Size 3 missiles, which... Whereabouts are they? Anti-decoy launcher, anti-noise launcher, missile rack, spark, which is on those other things. Are they underneath? Oh, shit. Yes, I do believe they are. That's actually pretty cool. That is very, very cool. So, yes, this is... Yeah, holy shit. This is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, no, if I didn't have the F7A Mark II, I definitely would go for this. This feels like the ultimate version. And again, if you're a fan of Star Citizen and you want to bring your friend along to have some Sudi shoots with you, Super Hornet. I mean, I kind of feel like this particular ship is being overshadowed a bit by the Star Lance attack and the Guardian MX. Like, this Invictus Launch Week just kind of feels like it's just overshadowing it ever so slightly, which I do feel kind of sad about, because, like, it's a good ship. The Super Hornet is legendary. In like with all my friends in the groups where I've talked to it and everything, this ship is consistently talked about for the pinnacle side of the civilian version of the Hornet series, which is the Hornet fighter series. It's that impressive. So, yeah, no, props to you, CIG. You've made another fantastic version of a very fantastic fighter. As we now finally make our way across to the far side of the central room, we are finally presented with a ship that I am very, very keen on looking at. Oh, you look... Oh, hello. 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 Oh, hello. Sorry, I am seeing a beautiful... I'm falling in love. Oh, hello. Oh, you were sexy before, but damn, girl. Oh, that's actually really, really nice. I'm not gonna lie. I've always been a sucker for the Valkyrie series of ships. Like the Valkyrie is just an absolute pinnacle in terms of ship design, and it's one of the biggest. It was one of the ships that I've been dreaming about for so long. So yeah, no, this thing looks absolutely phenomenal. What is brilliant. So this is the Anvil. Yeah, no, it is Anvil. Anvil Asgard. This is the not well. It's not the troop carrying variant. It's the vehicle carrying variant of ships. So this particular ship has, as you can see, a much more. They've designed it. Oh, it's still got the side doors. Intriguing. So this ship variant of the ship is designed specifically to open up and allow vehicles to be able to carry a Nova Tonk. Well, yeah, to get something as big as a Nova Tonk to hop in. And oh yeah, shit, nice. So yeah, you can see they've designed it to be a little bit bigger. You've got a massive sort of overarching sort of thing, so you can actually fit a Nova Tonk inside. Ah, they've changed it, and I like it. This actually feels like a modernization package that works really well. So we've actually now got, no fucking way, we can actually, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Okay, so this thing opens up like that. That's actually pretty good. That's actually pretty good. So we can open up that one there. We can also now open and close that one. Do we still have the ramp? Yeah, no. Right, so previously in the other edition, we had the ability to like close these things down, but no, it looks like it's not. So, as yes, basically this particular variant of the Asgard, the Valkyrie series, which is the Asgard. I'll just call it the Asgard. So the Asgard is designed specifically to carry one tank, from what I can see. And it allows us to carry... Okay, so the primary modification is to carry internal cargo components which can dominate tall ground vehicles like the Nova and the Anvil's own Atlas series of vehicles. Intriguing. Atlas series. In the absence of transport, vehicles can accommodate up to 180 U on its grids. Okay, so basically on this grid area here, we can carry up to 180 SCUs worth of cargo, which, bearing in mind, this is a cargo ground, given the size of this vehicle, this is where the Star Lancer Max really kind of starts to make even more sucky natures, because this ship is designed as a military vessel with the ability to transport one tank and up to 180 SCUs worth of cargo. The Star Lancer Max can carry up to 228 SCUs worth of cargo. Do you see the problem we're having here? Okay, so we've got dropship. So we've got the dropship guns. Oh, dropship crew bits for here. So we've got the engineers side of things, and they've actually now updated the internals of the Valkyrie of the Asgard to be much more self-sealed in case of atmospheric changes. So this thing is still open to the elements, and this door is most definitely sealed. Well, this area is still got to be most definitely sealed. Yeah, but unfortunately we have to like make sure that people don't open that, otherwise people get sucked into space. But if you go into here, oh yeah, it opens up. Yeah, it opens up. People can walk out and fall down. Yeah, so it's sealed. Oh, nice. It's got its little TV screens to do that. So you've still got the same crew accommodation, just in a much more self-sealed, less open environment. Oh, okay, so we can actually see into the hallways. GG. So we enter into here. There's no remote turret access this time. And what this looks to be like, what, some kind of self-storage suit system, or like escape pods maybe? So you've got weapon racks, you've got different other things, and then you go into here, and someone's locked the door. Oh, someone actually locked it from the inside out. Oh, you dicks. Of course. Wouldn't be fucking Star Citizen without someone being a prick. So, unfortunately, we can't hop into the cockpit for this thing, but at the same time, we know what it looks like. We've been into a Valkyrie. It looks amazing. I'm going to just fall to my death here, but no. Yeah, no, the Valkyrie. She be looking very nice. She be looking very, very tidy. Yeah, so in terms of guns, it has been equipped with 4 size 3 guns on the top and below, so for the pilot, they get access to some pretty decent weapons. For the weapons on the turret side, you've got 2 size 5 Galdron repeaters, or are they size 4s? I want to say size 5s, but they could be size 4s. Have a look, see. As per usual, whenever you want to look for the thing on the bloody tool store, it doesn't actually say. That's really not helpful. Okay, yeah, no, I'm going to make an executive decision and say that these are size 5 Galdrons. So, yeah, the size 5 Galdrons plus, obviously, the limited support for anything else. Yeah, this thing is absolutely mental. We've also got... Actually, to be fair, there's no remote turret options for this particular variant. Okay, that is kind of intriguing, definitely. So it's a lot more of a troop transport, fly in, drop shit off, get the fuck out of Dodge sort of thing. Whereas the other variant has the ability to at least, well, the Valkyrie has the ability to kind of provide some fire support as you make your way out. This variant is primarily get in, get out, fuck off sort of thing, which is fine. And I'm sure the amount of people who are going to be recreating Echo 419 as they make their merry way across will not at all be a thing that will happen so many times. Yes, I would agree. Its presence is terrifying. I'm surprised you're still standing. It is a good idea to bow in the presence of such a ship. But yes, we have arrived outside of the central room, and we now begin to make our way towards the first of our little room escapades. So, let us get started by talking about the best starter ship in the game. I am, of course, talking about the Avenger Titan. So the Avenger Titan is, for those who don't know, as mentioned, the best starter ship in the game. Now, why is that? Well, there are a few reasons which I'll briefly describe in as quick and effective way as possible. So, the first thing I will say that makes this ship the best starter ship in the game is you have a cross-section of weapons. You get, as a new player to Star Citizen, there are differences between ballistics and energy weapons, but to a new player, they won't really know the difference. Until they start using this ship, you'll be able to notice when it comes to combat experience that the ballistic weapons will be able to pen and still do damage, whilst also still being able to learn and have weapons that have infinite ammo and in the form of the Omniski cannon. So you've got size 4 repeater at the front, which gives a pretty damaging high level of damage while it has limited ammunition, but the Omniski guns as well allow you to do some pretty effective damage as well. You also have the 4 size 3 missiles, size 2 missiles, not size 3 missiles. So you have 4 size 2 missiles, which also helps teach the player how to do missile combat. You've got also a very open canopy, giving them the best of visuals in terms of basically being able to look up and around the ship, giving you much better visuals than, say, such things as the Aurora, which has a lot of struts. The only thing beating that in terms of visuals would be the Mustang, but then you have to realize that you're flying the Mustang, which is what makes it so shit. Anyway, moving on to the next reason why this ship is extremely good, it is very plane-like. If you're new to Star Citizen, or and you're kind of wanting to learn how to play and fly ships more effectively, having a ship that kind of looks like a plane is a lot easier when flying in Atmo, and makes life so much easier for you in terms of landing gear, how to manage and how to maneuver, and provide you the means to get it customized to the controls in Star Citizen. To my right now, so I don't bump into the flag. But still, it gives you the ability to become more customized and a lot more control over. Thanks, Mike. A lot more control when flying in and out of Atmo. And then finally, the biggest reason, and why I personally love it, is you have a cargo ramp, an actual cargo hangar bay, which means that if you have the desired, you're learning how to play the game, you want to get the ability to try every kind of career out at the ground level, the Avenger Titan has you covered, because you have a cargo bay that allows you to put cargo, bodies, relics, items, all sorts into the 8 SCU cargo bay. Even your cargo hauling. You can be a little package boy running around left, right, and center doing his little thing to help support the smaller areas. It's that good. And you also have a bed as well. Not really capable of doing long-lasting missions where You can't stay out in space for long because there's no living accommodations inside. But you do have the ability to be out there for a period of time. So I would say pretty damn good. And that's why I personally find to be that the Avenger Titan is the best starter ship of the game, because it gives you such a large amount of bonuses for something that costs relatively little in comparison to its counterparts. Put the helmet back on. So now we are going to be entering into the fighter room, where you've got Aegis, 2 anvils, and a Mirai Guardian, which is kind of mental. So going into the fighter hall, where you have all the pew-pews, we are introduced to the room. Ooh. Oh, hello. This is very fancy. Very fancy. Ah, yes, united in purpose. That is actually kind of true, depending on the controversy. But yes, these are the flight blades. Again, rather controversial if you are... Even though they are now introduced into the game, and well, I'll go into details about the controversy in another video, or at least my opinions on them into another video, they are now available for everyone, and we can now actually enjoy these things, but sadly, their reputation is a bit tinged with a bit of... yeah, it's not as a glorious introduction to the game as you could have had, I'll be honest with you. But still, these things are now in the game, and the customization side of it is also now a thing, which is fair enough, it is what it is. But still, moving on into the next phase, which is of course the actual ships themselves. But obviously, let's just take a moment to look at some of the other stuff. So in addition to having some ships, it looks like we're also being introduced to all of the different weapons and different platforms to see what weapons go with there. So it's a really good way of teaching new players the fact that and introducing them to the fact of, hey, you may be a new player to this universe and you may be able to do some funky things, but the stats of a ship doesn't just mean the ship itself can't be adjusted and changed. It's, you know, it's not what the ship... you can customize... what's the word? It's not what... You know, it's not just the ship that's good. It's what's in the ship that's good. There we go. Christ, my words today. Oh. Anyway, moving on. We are introducing... Well, starting off the ship lines, we have ourselves the Aegis Gladius. The Aegis Gladius is... pretty much the pinnacle, I'm going to be saying that a lot today, the pinnacle of PvP light fighter ships. It's size 3 Mantis with 2 size 2 Badger repeaters. Allow it to be the little, and of course the 4, and of course the 4 size 2 and 2 size 3 missiles are basically going to make this little bastard the most annoying piece of shit to fight against, and the most hilarious piece of glory to work with in order to have yourself a nice little old time. Like, a lot of players will swear by this ship, a lot of players have died by this ship, and a lot of players have survived by this ship. It is the PvP light fighter, and I don't think you'll be getting many people saying otherwise until something of equal proportion is there. But, you know, it's still, after all these years, is the GOAT of light PvP fighters. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a PvPer. I'm not really in the mindset of that, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a ship that some would say is outright better than the Gladius. Moving on to the X-Wing. They call it the Scorpius, but it's a conspiracy theory. It's not the Scorpius. It's the T-77 X-Wing. It was just a non-released version in Star Wars. This is new. 16 size 2s. 16 size 2s? Are you fucking serious? Okay, so the RSI Scorpius, X-Wing, sorry, which has 4 size 3 Panther repeaters on the wingtips here. And again, it's the X-Wing, because when you fly around in the X-Wing, the ship just, it's the X-Wing. I don't care, it's the X-Wing. The X-Wing basically has a crew of 2. Pilot has obviously access to the guns, and the co-pilot has access to the quad size 3s on the top. Except now we've got quad... But however, it looks like you can now swap these out for fucking seriously. How many again? 16 size 2. My brain is very tired at this moment because I could see that there were 16, but my brain was like, that's 8. Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah, holy shit. So there is also another variant of this, which is the Scorpius Antilles, which is designed with an interdictor on the top, but not as popular and slightly controversial at the launch because the co-pilot could do sweet fuck all. But now the co-pilot gets access to some pretty funky tools. Now the thing that makes this turret so cool is not only can you shoot above, you can also shoot below. Yes, you can go all the ways back into here, and this little track thing here will allow the turret to be able to be moved out and around and all that jazz. That's going to be pretty cool. But more to the point, you now have a fucking missile launcher as well, which I honestly think will drastically improve your capabilities as a pilot and devastator for that. So, holy shit! Star Citizen stepping up their game. Shame it's a bit marred. So, as we make our way to the far side of the room, we are presented with the goat of all heavy fighters. This is the Anvil F-8C Lightning. And, oh my god, she's amazing. It is one of the better, if not, as I said, it's the greatest in heavy fighter capabilities. You've got size 3 Panther repeaters over there, although it almost looks like size 2s. I want to say, actually, no, that's a size 2. That is indeed a size 2. And we've got some size 2s and size 3s. Yeah, size 2, size 3. We've got multiple weapons around. It also has a shit ton of missiles on the sides there and a couple of size 2s on the top as well. This thing is loaded for bear, and it has the ability to be utterly devastating. And for years, CIG didn't sell this thing. It was not available to the public, and now it is, and it is glorious. I missed out on the opportunity to get this thing, and I do kind of regret it, but I will also say that when you get to fly this thing in the verse, it is an absolute beast. Oh, it's so good. Definitely a very good fighter. Anvil definitely was cooking good shit when they made this thing, so big thumbs up for that one, for defos. Anyway, moving on to the next vessel, we're going with a little bit of a Chad little baby here. This one is the Anvil Arrow. So we've gone from the heavy, and now we go to the light. This very agile little bastard has 2 size 2 Badger repeaters with 4... No, sorry. 2... Hang on. Yeah, no, they're all size 2s. 1, 2, 3... So 6? Is it 6 or 8? It's got to be 6. Yes. 6 size 2 missiles. Although I almost want to say it's 4 size 2 and 2 size 3, to be brutally honest, which I think that's actually what it's meant to be. But still, it looks like we've got, 4 size 2 and 2 size 3s. I'm going to quickly Google this. For some reason, even though I've been playing this game for almost 10 years, I still struggle to identify the different size missiles. They're all size fucking 2. Okay. So they're all size 2 missiles. Why then do these things look very chunky? Either way. So yes, all of these size 2 missiles. Now, what makes this particular ship is not so much what it's armed with, but its speed. This thing is the fastest of little bastards, which, in the hands of an in the hands of a good pilot, makes this thing extremely effective at dodging, ducking, weaving, and diving, both in Atmo and out of Atmo. It is a lethal weapon, and I owned one for a time because I kind of had a bit of a phase where I thought I could be a decent pilot and fly a decent and a devastating combat ship, and I was like, nope. I immediately noped out because this ship is just way too fast for me. I realized I was not a light fighter pilot, but still, holy Christ, it's very lethal and very effective, so big props up for that one, definitely. And as we make our way towards the center of the room, we are greeted with the ship's potential and a lot of other fancy pants weaponry as well. Holy shit. Some pretty decent weapons over here. And also very nice looking weapons as well. I do like the look of some of these things. Anyway, moving to the center of the room, we are presented with the Mirai Guardian, the original TIE fighter, and very big looking gun. Omniski with... That's actually pretty cool. What's this one? This one is the... Oh, it's the M... I want to say M7A. No, I don't want to buy it. I was right. M7A. Happy fucking days. So yes, this is the Mirai Guardian. This is the original variant of the ship. Now, I'm going to hop into this one because we didn't get a chance to look into the MX Guardian stuff. Let's see if I can go up. I like how it says go down, and yet I can't go down. I'm going to quickly see if I can hop into... I guess it's a slightly bugged version. Well, we'll go in through the canopy. So this is a pretty effective ship's devastation. I've got M5As, I believe, or was it M6As, and you've got fucking tons of missiles. Jesus. Okay, we've got 4, 8, 12, 16 size 2s along the sides. You also have component access. Oh, and actually that's a weapons locker as well. That's actually pretty cool. Like this variant of the ship. Ah, here we go. Yeah, so you have two ways of getting into the ship. You've got this way, which is from the front. So you can definitely see where the Xi'an technology kind of comes into focus. So you get very good visuals here. Very good visuals. Exception of maybe looking up, but that's fine. If you look down, you can actually see quite a lot of cool stuff. You have a very decent displays as well. You've got the abilities and all that. I'm actually going to exit to rear as well. But what makes this ship pretty decent, and this is the thing that I've been seeing, and this is the first time I've actually seen it for myself, is that this ship you can actually live in as well. Like, this ship isn't just designed as a combat ship dedicated like its MX counterpart. This is a livable ship. Now, as much as you're a fighter, I could very much easily see someone living in this thing for a while. You've got like a little mini cooker here, you've got yourself a little table to sit on, you've got a fire extinguisher, you've got yourself, I want to say almost a grill, but you also got yourself like a taps, packs, access panels, working mirror. That's pretty cool. Working mirror. I like how it kind of treats this. GG. But no, so you have the ability to access all of this cool stuff. Then you have the components in the rear with the engineering terminal as well. So you get to see all of the fancy pants materials, and then we can pop out, get ourselves a suit, and then you can also access your gear and equipment as well. There's a weapons locker internally. So this particular ship is definitely a solo's dream, especially if you're not really fussed about doing any kind of cargo, and instead you're the kind of explorer slash combat fighter. You also have a couple of size, I want to say size 4s. Yeah, these are that's definitely a size 4, which I believe is the M6A, because the other one was the M7A. This is the size 5 Galdron, or Galdrine. Galdrine? Goldrine. Goldrine. Oh, Goldarine. Oh, Goldarine. Okay, Goldarine is that one. And then this one is the Attritions. Which variant is this? Attrition 5s. Oh, yeah, size 5 Attritions. Yeah, that makes sense. But yes, this is this is Mirai Guardian. I will say, I do like this version more, in a weird way, than I do the MX variant. The MX variant is a heavy fighter, and fuck me, if that thing ever gets onto an Idris now, that's going to be a pretty fucking significant ship to work against. Holy God. Yeah, that... Oh, God. Yeah, you know what? That's a good bloody challenge, actually, for sure. But still, the fighter room. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, into the next room, we are introduced to the logistics, which is intriguing when we have a look at some of the ships in the center. I don't really consider the Mantis to be a logistics ship. In fact, I'm kind of curious as to why we're being put into the same thing as before, which is very, very curious. I'm actually going to make my way over to the map once again, just to double check. This is logistics. Yeah, this is logistics. Okay, weird, but okay. So, logistics, the key essential part of any particular navy slash army, whatever. As they always say, an army marches on its stomach, as a very famous Napoleonic man said. So, in order to get yourself in the verse and survive in the verse, we have our fair share of Vics to keep us going. One of which is the Anvil Pisces Medical. So the Anvil Pisces is quite a famous little ship. It's designed, it was basically a ship that comes along with the Anvil Carrack, but its plucky nature allows it to have multiple variants, one of which is a dedicated ambulance. So this particular ship not only allows you to set your spawn, looks like this whole thing's been raided as well. Not only does it allow you to set your spawn, but this also has a tier 3 medical bed, which means you're able to survive one of the more critical injuries, as well as if you decide to go into a combat zone and unfortunately don't make it out alive, this thing has got your back. In terms of defenses, it's very minimalistic. 2 size 1s, 2 size 1 missiles. Not really a combat ship, but it's a very good ship that if you need to get yourself in and out of a little plucky situation, you need to get into a very tiny space, you got yourself the Pisces for that one. We'll get to you in a minute, Mr. Logistics, finger quote. I'm intensely finger quoting here, not even though I'm not physically doing it, but still, intense finger quoting is being utilized. Once again, we're getting quite the plethora of different items and equipment. So yeah, literally it's just the same thing as before. You're looking at all of the different components inside ships, the ability to buy some of these ships and components, as well as explaining what these things are. So going over to the other medical ship in the verse, we have the Nurse Pin, or the Terra Nurse. The Terra Nurse. I'm going to call it the Terra Nurse. So this is the Terra Nurse, or the Terrapin Medic. So Metapin, I think, is what people call it. But I like the term Terra Nurse. It kind of rolls off the tongue a little better. So the Terra Nurse is a Terrapin with a medical bed. Once again, tier 3, not really capable of doing anything except getting yourself out of dodge, and it gives you a little bit more. Actually, to be fair, I need to have a look-see. Is this a tier 2 or a tier 3 medical bed? I'm going to assume tier 3 medical bed. Let's have a look-see. No, it actually has a tier 2 medical bed. It is a tier 2. So what do I mean by tier 2, tier 3, whichever? Well, basically, the tier system in medical terms is the kind of injuries that you can sustain whilst you're out in the field. So in some firefights, you may suffer, say, a tier 2. You may get shot in the arm, and it suffers a permanent debuff damage. So in a medical bed, which we have the ability to regenerate and re-heal yourselves, the tier of the wound goes from 3 to 2 to 1. Tier 1 is basically fucked. Tier 2 is severely damaged, and tier 3 is mildly damaged but no serious issues. The Pisces, with its tier 3 medical bed, allows you to be able to survive relatively minor wounds, nothing too bad. Again, it's basically damaged but not out of it. Tier 2 medical bed, however, that's for more serious circumstances, and again, being able to set your own little spawn point on hand, this little ship has the Terra Nurse has the ability to be quite the rescue vessel. And given the fact that this thing is based off a armored scout, it's, in my opinion, one of the nicer ships out there. And I honestly kind of hope we see more of use out of it as well. I honestly think it's very, very nice ship. Like, it's a very, very nice ship. I like it. I like the aesthetic of the Terra Nurse. It's a very cool-looking ship, and I think it should get a little bit more recognition, considering prior to this, the Terrapin was a relative unknown. Not many people would have utilized it. Oh my god, people are praying. They're looking at the prices for these things. I don't blame you. But yeah, the Terra Nurse is something that I honestly feel is it's finally the kind of time it needs. It's finally arriving at a time that it needs to make itself known in the verse. I just hope it's not too late for the Terra Nurse to make an impact. Finally, we come across this thing. This thing is, again, I struggle to understand why you would put this thing into a logistics area, because this thing is not at all logistics. In fact, this is more of a combat ship. This is the Mantis. Now, the Mantis from RSI is a combat interdictionary craft. So the combat interdiction fighter, basically what this thing does, as this little open display shows, I'm kind of curious. This thing also has a ridiculously loud sounding, oh for God's sake, ridiculously loud internal sound effects, and possibly one of the more uglier entrances. There you go. Probably one of the more uglier interiors, which is just an open space. It's loud. It is so loud. no idea why. But yeah. So the Mantis, if we scroll around to here. So the Mantis basically, and that's completely quiet. But no, the Mantis, how it works is you, in the center of the ship, there's those little rings there. That's the quantum interdictor. And what this does is this generates a spherical field of energy, which after it reaches a certain power percentage, as well as capacity, it will then release a sphere that continues to expand up to a certain distance. This is a quantum dampening field. It then traps any ships that are currently quantuming in the particular route that they're in, thus immediately pulling them out of space and leaving them vulnerable for a few seconds whilst they get themselves back into kilter. This ship, when it first came out, was quite the controversial ship, as a lot of players feared that this ship would be capable of being the Troll's ultimate weapon. However, there's a couple of major couple of problems with this particular theory, because this ship not only didn't really do anything when it first came out, it kind of still can't do really much anything now, and it's not a very good ship. Aesthetically wise, it's ugly. It's got two fairly ineffective weapons as stock for its stock loadout, and as ship combat roles go, it's not really capable of doing anything because it's very slow to maneuver. As soon as you use the quantum interdictor field, it will be very, very, very slow and very sluggish because it's just used an absolute buttload of power, and it requires you to take some time to recharge. In addition to having to maneuver and being pretty much dependent entirely on having some backup to keep the ship alive, you will find that if you are the kind of person who does want to use this particular ship for the intended purpose that it has, you will get such a fucking crime stamp lapped onto you because it is illegal to use this ship's main purpose in life. So unless you're living in Pyro and you're wanting to spend some time being an absolute douchebag, and you know some of the routes that are around, this thing doesn't have anywhere near the impact that people would have said it does. Now, maybe in the future, if it becomes easier for players to track particular combat routes or trade routes or flight routes, then maybe this thing will be the ship that everyone is terrified of. But I honestly don't see that potential, especially since this thing requires it to be supported. Now, yes, of course, other people... Oh, okay, more flight blades. Now, yes, I appreciate that other people will be willing to do stuff with this ship, and it'll be all available and stuff, and it'll have you'll have all of the other ships and everything. But, yeah, no, it's not at all what I would say as a... It's not the threat that everyone makes it out to be. We enter into the third room and are presented with quite the trio, all being Aegis, and all being pretty freaking hefty, for sure. This is the gunship's room, and they do offer quite a different variety of options. Again, slightly debatable as to the nature of why that thing is considered a gunship when that's more of a heavy fighter, but reasons are reasons. Oh, hello, is that a fucking raised platform I see there? It only took you 5 fucking years to see that, you bastards. Anyway, so the first ship we're going to be looking at is the Redeemer. Now, the Redeemer, and we are going to be pronouncing this with the hard R's, is a multi-crew gunship designed to provide infantry units effective support as well as heavy firepower in the field. This particular ship was quite famous as it was a community-designed project that originally was meant to be a troop transport, but then evolved into a gunship role. Carrying up to, I think it was like, what, 4 SCUs worth of cargo? Yeah, like, no, it's 2. You can get like 2 boxes in there, and I think maybe there's like enough for other things. But really, the big thing was that it is a troop. It's like a gunship. It has the interior crew design, and we'll have a little bit of a look around the little bit of a ship. So you got the ability to transport some additional troops. I'd say again, very small crew, very more thing. And again, for a time, this used to be what I would say is the the ultimate in multi-crew gameplay aspect, because you had the ability to have you and a few other small group of your friends being able to launch a pretty cohesive and effective battle line. Because let's face it, this particular package was quite hefty, especially since if we head around towards the front, you'll get to see the reasons why. Obviously, you've got a couple size 4 mega cannons on the whole point, which is pretty nasty, and you still do have some pretty effective size 3 M3 cannons alongside some of the turrets as well. But the turrets used to be fucking lethal, having size 5 AD5Bs. These things were lethal and absolutely shredded many opponents. However, CIG about I think a year ago now decided to upset many Redeemer fans by getting rid of the size 5s and replacing them with size 4s, giving players this ship a much hated nerf. But at the same time, a lot of players felt that, to be fair, I'm not going to lie, I kind of feel like the size 4s makes this thing look a lot better. The size 5s were fucking huge and made this thing look a bit daft, whereas the size 4s, really good. The 84Bs are still extremely dangerous, extremely lethal, and the 2 manned turrets with these 2 things firing off at the same time, yeah, no, it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna do a shit ton of damage. So, no, Redeemer, dangerous weapon. Very much scary. Moving from the Redeemer now to a bit of an old girl, but still just as good as before. This is, of course, the Avenger Titan, the fastest. No, this is the Aegis Vanguard series of ships. This particular variant being the Harbinger, which, again, I don't really consider this a gunship role. I don't quite understand the logic behind this. This is the heavy fighter variant with a deadbolt ballistic cannon on the front, size 5, with 4 size 2 BTSL or BTSV SV ballistic cannons, size 2 on the front. This is, as said, this is the size combat variant, torpedo carrying variant, which, spoilers, but it's also got additional size 3 missiles, which has got 4 size 3 missiles down there, along with a few missile port injectors. But as I said before, with the minor spoilers, the big appeal of this ship is it's got some size with love, I always giggle at that, it's got 3 size 5 torpedoes. This thing is more a heavy fighter than a gunship, because this thing is designed to get into a combat zone, plaster the fuck out of whoever is in it, and then fly the fuck out, because it's designed to destroy shit, not hang around and do shit. The Redeemer, as a gunship, totally get. The Hammerhead gunship, it's a gunboat. Of course it's gonna be a big thing. This thing, no. This thing is a heavy fighter, not a gunship. The option also is you get a size 2 rocket pod launching turret as well, which is kind of irritating because I think that's the only other thing we can get that has rocket pods at the moment. I am very much keen on getting more rocket pods in this game. I'm not gonna lie, I want more rocket pods. Anyway, moving on to the last ship in the room. This is the Aegis Hammerhead. Now, for a time, I would say that this particular ship, and with this introduction of the Star Lancer, maybe it's the best or not, I don't know, but this particular ship does have a pretty significant advantage in firepower. Those are size 5 Goldarines, which means these bloody things. So this thing is basically, it's got 4 size 5 Goldarines, fuck it. Goldarines, turret, laser repeaters, and it's got 6 of them. 2 on each side, 1 atop, 1 below. And it is a fucking nightmare for anyone who dares go near it. And there was a time where these things used to be ballistics. Now, obviously, this is a long time ago since these things went to lasers. But of course, if you are the kind of enterprising man who wants to spend an absolute fortune, you could get the AD5Bs. They believe they are still pretty lethal as a weapon, of course, but yeah, if you want to do it, you could get the best ballistic size 5 in the game and equip all of them these things, and just cry yourself to sleep as you somehow afford the ammunition bills. And it looks like we get access to the new torpedoes again, size 12s. I can buy one. Holy mother of God. Fuck me. 508,000. Oh my God. Seriously, that is fucking mental. Well, that's actually kind of cool, having a nice little display. But yes, this particular ship is a... Yeah, so the Hammerhead is basically a multi-crew gunboat with the abilities to basically provide heavy levels of fire support. This particular ship rose to prominence during the famous Jumptown War, where a lot of players fought over a series of drugs, which then resulted in a lot of deaths due to aggressive, very aggressive, gunnery use skills. This particular ship came into its own during that time, but the primary role of this ship is to provide fire support for the for various ships like the Idris, the Javelins, and other sort of things. And you may have noticed a lot of these during the Battle of Vega. These things are designed to say fuck off fighters and make sure that no ship gets overwhelmed or overswarmed. So this thing, Stormburst bombs, 37,000, size 5, storm kinetics also reaches its targets. What are these? Oh, these are size 3s. Intriguing. Size 3s. We have multiple bombs now. Very intriguing. Fair enough. I'll, Oh yeah, there's like the size... Wait, is that the size 10? I'm kind of curious. I will say, the display is kind of impressive. I think this is the size 10 that you get off the Polaris. Yes, it is. Fuck me. Still 500,000. Yeah, this is the size 10 torpedo that you get to load into the Polaris as well, which is pretty cool. So we've got size 5 and size 3s. Oh my God, if you could attach these to the Anvil Gladiator. Oh my God, I would be fucking dying of happiness right there. It would be very difficult to fly that ship, but I would love it so fucking much. But yes, the gun. Going back to the Hammerhead. The Hammerhead is one of those pinnacle sort of gunboats that I think, even with all of the other ships being around, I still think that ship will still have a place in the verse and still be very much applicable as a means of having quite a lot of fun if you're in a clan of like 8 to 10 people. But the introduction of the Starlancer does now make that another challenger for the role of most fun you can have with a small group of friends. And there is the F8A. Oh, beautiful. So this is the Squadron 999's variant of the F8A, but as you can see, this thing is way more upgunned than its counterpart. Though you do still have, I think they've increased the size to size 3s on the side, but you can see just how much bigger. That's a size 4, that's a size 2. Look at the fucking difference between the two. It is mental. Seriously, it is absolutely mental. I know. Anyway, so now we get to move into the Combat Ground Hall, which is the last hall we have before making our way to the lower level. So we now get to go and see all of the ground Vics that are available in-game. And we've got a pretty decent array of ground Vics to introduce ourselves. So let's get started. Right, okay, so as you can see, we have quite a lot of little ground Vics, and then we'll start ourselves off with the Cyclone TR, which, if you're a fan of Halo, it's the Warthog. It is literally the Warthog. Crew of 3, machine gun on the top. If you've ever played Halo, it's the Warthog. It's a pretty decent ground vehicle. I personally quite like it, and as a light scout role, it does the job it needs to do. Downside is that it can be a little bit fucky-wucky when it comes to uneven terrain or occasional tiny rocks that send this thing on the flip side. So I'd advise you bring a tractor beam, preferably the big one. So that would, Jesus Christ. Sorry, okay, sorry. I've misread. I thought those were all the bloody Nova donks. Anyway, but still, yeah, that particular thing looking pretty good, and I do like it. It does have multiple variants, which we're going to ignore the tanks for the moment, and instead we're going to have a look into having a crack over yonder to a very much overhyped ground Vic, but fuck it, let's have a look. This is, of course, the Cyclone MT. This is basically the Cyclone on steroids. It's got a size 1 tarantula repeater on the front and 4 size 2 missiles as well. I have absolutely no idea why they decided to upgun this particular ship or this ground Vic. And I remember when this thing came out, because it came out not too long. It was around like the St. Patrick's Day thing, which is why it's green. But this particular ship, I keep saying ship, this ground Vic, I honestly thought it was an April Fool's joke, because it's like, why the fuck would you up armor and up weapon this particular ground Vic? It doesn't need it. It's over the top. It almost completely negates the point of the MR. But no, this thing is in fact real, and it is very lethal. To a degree. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like the super efficient sort of thing, but you know, if you want to have a bit more fun, then there you fucking go. Anyway, moving on to from ground Vics to ground donks, we have the first of the donk, the Tumbrel Storm. Well, Tumbrel Storm is the first one, but we also have the AA variant, which the AA variant is actually quite lethal, I'm not going to lie. But this is the Tumbrel Storm. This is a lighter variant of vehicle, more designed to support infantry with assaults against minor positions, as well as being able to provide useful bouts of intelligence and information. You have the ability to, if we open up this particular thing, we'll just hop into the turret now, or hop into it. There you go. Away we hop. So, the Tumbrel Storm, which a lot of players of Command and Conquer, if you're a fan of Command and Conquer, you will note some similarities. We're getting really hyped for this thing being a sort of heavier tank, but unfortunately not to be the case. But this particular vehicle has got itself a pretty cool looking gun on the on this ground Vic. If I can get access to the remote turret, weapon cap, canopy. There should be a button that allows me to do some funky things. If not, you can retract the turret as well. There you go. So yeah, this particular variant is the normal variant of the ship has a size 1, size 2 machine gun. It's a part of the unique weapon. It's the only one available for it, but it's basically it's a machine gun / defensive weapon designed to basically get it out of dodge. Not really. Yeah, it's not really a heavy weapon designed to shit over everyone. It's more just self-defense to get you out of dodge sort of thing. But it also is one of two variants, which is the AA variant, which I feel like the AA variant is probably the more recognizable of the Tumbrel Storm systems, and I actually kind of prefer the AA variant over the this particular variant, just because I feel like the AA has more presence. So this, going from one tonk to an actual tonk, which is the ultimate tonk, is the Nova tonk. So the Nova tonk is it was the first ever tonk in Star Citizen, with a crew of 3, the gunner, commander, and driver. But in this particular in this hilarious sort of thing, you can actually have just the commander and the driver, with the gunner not even really needed, because if you hop into the gunner role here, which we'll hop into here, and we'll then take ourselves internal, we'll then press this button here. You can actually use the turret inside the tonk, which I think is absolutely hilarious. So obviously there are benefits to utilizing a full crew, but if you're the kind of person who has like a friend or a player, you want to do a duo on certain things, the Nova Tonk, which is a very big ship, a big ground Vic, is still capable of doing pretty well even with just a crew of 2. Obviously they're going to get some certain benefits, and it's obviously the issues of needing to command a tank and drive the tank at the same time, or man the tank or whatever. You can also even solo this particular vehicle, but as always, the more roles you can enable onto one person, the harder life will be. It's armed with a size 7. Yeah, that looks to be like a size 7 main battle tank gun. However, they've recently just introduced this thing, which... Oh, size 5, not size 7. Well, unless this is a size 7... Oh, yeah, so this is a size... Yeah, so this is a Gatling gun, and it turns it into a Burt. Oh, boy. Oh boy. Yeah, so we got the size 5 cannon being replaced by the size 5 machine gun, or a size 7 cannon being replaced by a size 7. It's quite late in recording, so I can't quite remember the on for that one, but yeah, yeah, this is quite a devastating weapon, especially if you think about the fact, although it's not really dedicated for this role, it is a rotary cannon on a tank that if you're engaging someone's light vehicles or maybe even some ships on the ground, that thing could shred quite quickly. That is quite the scary concept. As we make our way across, we are presented once again with the Anvil Asgard, and showcasing one of the other factors of the Nova Tonk, which is how tall it is, because that particular thing has a pretty huge dimensions, and absolutely is going to be in... absolutely is going to need the largest of vessels, and previously the only ships that could really transport the Nova Tonk would be such ships as I want to say just the Hercules. I honestly think only the Hercules could transport the Nova Tonk. But now we have the Asgard, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I'd say that's a pretty big win for that one. Moving on to the other side, we are presented with the Ursa. Now the Ursa, though this one is the Nursa, as it became famous for, and unfortunately even CIG were like, fuck, we could have come up with that name. The Ursa is a classic RSI ground vehicle transport. Now the Nursa variant is the medical hospital. It was basically similar to the Pisces. It's got a tier 3 medical bed. Tier 3? I want to say it's tier 3 because it is very fucking small. Yes. Tier 3 medical bed, ground vehicle ambulance. So you have your ambulance materials here, you've got your equipment and your weapon rack and everything. You've got your means to revive when you're in the combat field, and it allows players who have been injured to get themselves out of the pickle. You've got a crew of 3, effectively. I say 3, but it's like you've got a driver, co-driver, and a medical staff on site as well, so they can basically provide support. You get access to size 1 repeaters, which the driver, the co-pilot, or the driver can gain access to. And in terms of like heritage, the Ursa is probably one of the oldest ground vehicles, barring the PTV, inside Star Citizen. Like, you had the Grey Cat PTV, and then I think you had one of these things. Maybe the Cyclone was maybe around at the same time. But when I first started playing Star Citizen, the first vehicles I saw that were not spacecraft was the PTV, the Ursa, and the Cyclone. And I saw the PTV and the Ursa in that order first. So this thing is a very, very old but very much very good ship, very good ground vic. And the Nursa, being able to have tier 3 medical beds, makes for a very useful experience, especially if you're into a longer combat haul. Now, moving on to the Atlas series of ground vehicles, not the Argo Atlas, the mech, but the Atlas as in the ground... Again, I don't quite know why they do that, so I'm just going to call this by its variant name. So the Spartan, which I'm just going to go from the Spartan series. The Spartan series of ground Vic transports is the heavy truckers of the verse. You essentially have some of the largest ground Vic transports for infantry in the game at this moment. This one being able to house a squad-sized element with additional members being the commander, well, the driver, but commander, that sort of thing. So yeah, crew of 10 soldiers in total with their various bits of gear and equipment. Driver gets access to a couple of gun racks and also gets the ability to access a couple of size 2 mantis repeaters on the top, which is pretty useful, especially since you're trying to navigate and drive your way around. The problem I find with this particular variant of ground Vic is that due to its design, it bottoms out very easily, and it doesn't really work very well as a troop transport, because while the side mounts are pretty nice, kind of feel like you only need the one variant which allows you to get in and out of the combat zone, or get in and out of the ground Vic effectively. It gives you options, and the side doors do give you options, and they do some various funky things, but at the same time I kind of feel like we need a better ground Vic that doesn't bottom out so much in comparison to its counterparts. Now, of much better use of the Spartan series of ships, ground Vics, is its anti-air variants, the Ballista and the Centurion. So the Ballista is actually the OG of the ground Vic variant. So the Ballista, which when I first started playing Star Citizen all the way back, when I started playing Star Citizen properly, finger quote, I started playing Star Citizen more than before. This was the first variant of the Ballista series. That's why I used to call it the Ballista series of ground Vics, because this was the first one. It's got a bunch of size 5 anti-air missiles with a couple of size 7 torpedo-like missiles designed to fuck over any any air vehicles around. You've got your driver, which we'll hop into this one just so for posterity, but all of the Spartan series of Vics have this as an option. The view is actually pretty nice when it comes to ground Vics. Not great in the horizontal, great in the vertical, as well as pretty decent-ish sort of views to the sides, but not really something that you're going to find yourself enjoying too much. But the big thing about this particular vehicle is you do get access to some remote turrets, so you don't really need to be in the driver's seat. Instead, you can access the remote turrets on the top, which allows you to drive around. But this thing is lethal and absolutely devastating anti-air system, which will hopefully prevent and destroy any who decide to fuck around in your airspace, even if it's for a little bit. But no, I would say like this particular variant was, and I remember playing when I first started getting into Star Citizen properly, like when I was actually really, in 2018, just joined BSI, and we were doing some ops and stuff. The first op I ever took part in was an op to try and shoot off and to try and do some dodging in a canyon and Daymar whilst shooting out and dealing with these particular things as well, which I thought was pretty cool. Little bit of history for you there. Going on to the Centurion basically replaces the missiles for size 5 laser repeaters, or guns basically, and turns this particular ship into the devastating remote turret controlled M16. It's basically the quad mounted 50 cal machine guns on the back of a pretty menacing vessel. Yeah, pretty menacing. I personally prefer machine guns when it comes to anti-air or anything like that over missiles, because I feel like machine guns kind of do the job much more effectively at times. They've got a limited range, sure, but when you're in that range, Bert or Daka, which I much prefer to do. I find shooting aircraft down with a machine gun to be far more enjoyable than shooting at them with a missile. But still, these particular ground Vics will be absolutely devastating to any and all airspace upon being introduced into the field once we start getting base building. You will see fuck tons of these things being utilized once base building becomes a thing, because as soon as someone has a base, someone's going to want to blow it up, and when someone wants to blow it up, you get the guys who have the anti-ship anti-air, anti-whatever the fuck you want to call it, to ensure that you don't have any problems with your airspace. As we make our way downstairs, we are presented with now a very different image. First of all, we have the classic, well, I say classic, we've got the Cyclone AA variant with its size 2 missiles, which is kind of mental considering the size of the ground Vic. Yeah, it's just got a bunch. Yeah, so it's got a bunch of size 2 missiles, which if we hop over to here, you can see 2 size 2 missiles. Pretty impressive for. Actually, no, it's not just size 2. I think it's like a multiple on that one, isn't it? Yeah, we got one, and we got another one below it as well. So yeah, there's like 4 size 2 missiles in here, which is pretty impressive for such a light ground Vic. But still, it's an anti-aircraft variant. I don't think I've ever seen this particular variant out in the verse, but still, it's a pretty significant variant and has the capacity to do some kind of decent level of damage. And here is the OG Ursa. This is the troop transport variant that still kind of needs to be found, has yet to be found as a replacement, because this is kind of like a Spec Ops team drop Vic. Now, the new MTC does, of course, you know, counteract this thing's driving capabilities as well as its shooting capabilities. But unfortunately, it does not counter this thing's carrying capabilities. As you can see, we've got 4 seats in the back, plus 1 person standing or crouching if you're on the position. If you go into this at ease emote, you're actually able to stay in the ground Vic without falling over. You also have yourself your driver and your co-driver, being able to access the size 1 las repeaters on here, which is pretty cool. And yeah, like as ground vehicles go, the Ursa still is a pretty solid vehicle. You've got 6 wheels with great traction. They are very vulnerable to being shot at, so if you've got rail guns, this is the easiest way to stop this thing. You shoot 2 or 3 of the tires off, boom, there goes the problem. There goes your ability to drive and escape from death. But still, the Ursa is definitely a decent ground Vic, and I think even though after all this time, it's been so long since this ground Vic's been introduced to the game, and it still has a hell of a lot of applicability to it. So finally for today, we're going to have a look at some of the packs that are coming out with Invictus Launch Week. So these particular skins, particular weapons, are now available, I hope in-game as well as in store. But we've got some new camo skins as well as the new energy weapon. I think we'll go with this one because this one is probably my favorite. This thing is an energy submachine gun. Does it show anything? Yes, the Quartz True Valor Energy SMG. It's an Electron. Its battery size of 50, so it's this mag size beam weapon. 15 to 20 meters. Gives it optics and undetachments. Okay. So this is a very dangerous close quarter weapon. So it's an arc weapon in a sense. Intriguing. Still, very impressive. Very impressive. I'm not a huge fan of energy weapons, but credit where credit's due. It looks impressive. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. But that is more or less it. And this place is closed. So, here we are. The end of today, which is really surprising, actually. I'm not going to lie. This event, at least the in-game event side, has definitely taken me a bit by surprise. The whole design of it and everything. But still, we are, like it's been a very good event, and I've been seeing some pretty cool stuff. Hopefully we'll get to see more cool stuff, but it doesn't look like we'll be doing it inside the game, potentially. Or at least this may be the one and only Invictus Launch Week episode that we get to do, which, on the one hand, it saves me quite a lot of effort, because obviously I don't have to do the one episode, but it also is a bit of a shame, because I do enjoy doing these multiple day episode things where we do each particular day, but yeah, it's just just the one, potentially. So, if anything has, of course, developed or anything does go through, we'll obviously be having a look into that sort of thing. And obviously, I'll be making a video. I want to try and make a video regarding the situation in the whole the flight blades thing and everything else, because I do think that there is some serious note. I mean, obviously, I'm not the only one who's made a video on it, but I'll do something. I'd like to try something around those realms. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. If you like this kind of content, do let me know in the comment section down below, clicking on the like button, and of course subscribing to the channel. And I'll hope to catch you all in the next one. This is Mr. Jaeger signing out. Have a good one, guys.